All right, Blab Dads. We're going to go ahead and give you a rating on just the spring itself. We're going to exclude the lodge because we haven't been there yet. And that's not really part of the spring, even though it's on the property of the springs. So let me go ahead and give you my 2 cents. So let's go ahead and talk about the dock right now. At this time, to my knowledge, typically there are lots of visitors that come to Wakulla Springs and they take the boats out. But I believe because of COVID-19, they're really not running right now for obvious reasons. But it's a very, very nice riverboat ride down the Wakulla. It takes about an hour. And last time we were here, these boats were packed. So, as you can see, they're not running right now. So that lowers the rating because it's not running. Now, the water, as you can see, is a tinge green. Why is that? Well, if you look in the water, we've got lots of algae here. There's not a lot of algae in this area where the springs are, where the people are recreating, but there's certainly a lot over here. And if you think about it, with a lot of carbon footprint that the people are making on underneath the water, that stirs up the algae and it doesn't have a chance to grow. So this line really can show you the area from where it is almost devoid of algae to on the other side having a full amount of algae. So one of the things that we're going to show you is, as I showed you before, but from this level, you could see there is one platform, and then there's another platform, and thus the jumping platform all the way in the background. As I'm viewing here from the water side, you can see there's one, and along the seawall there's 2 entrances. Right over here is the 3rd one, and that beach access over there. So there's lots of entrances and exits to Wakulla Springs. That's a huge advantage to this place. But again, it's a skinny strip of land from the boathouse all the way to the walkway that goes to the jumping platform. In terms of the spring, there's no spring in this area right over here. The spring area is really near the buoys of where these people are jumping. So if you really wanted to go see the spring itself, you can't. You can't because there's people jumping in that area. That really lowers my rating of a spring that you should enjoy by looking and finding out what the spring is all about. And that is literally the headwaters of the spring. A lot of the springs we've seen, they begin but are somewhat connected to a river, and thus the water is much more clear. But since it's the headwaters, this is the start of the spring, which begins the Wakulla River. So as I'm walking across here, it is literally waist deep. Let me turn. So there I am right there, waist deep in the water. So I'm walking from end to end right now. Again, 72-degree water. The water's fairly cold underneath the water. Above the water, it's fairly warm because of the sunshine. If there was no sun and there was lots of clouds, this would definitely be a colder area to swim in. Down below, there's some hints of rock underneath. That's why I'm wearing, as you can see, my water shoes. Gotta be really careful sometimes of where you walk. It's not as sandy in some parts. As I mentioned before, there's the lifeguard stand. Some person set up a hammock. That's pretty cool. So you can see the different types of trees that surround the perimeter of... Oh, what's that? That's really rocky. Ouch. Of the springs itself. So as you see those people jumping there, you see in the background, and I will blow this up, that white, see if you can see my finger. Where's my finger? There it is. That white buoy right there, that's the spring. The spring is near there. So if people are jumping near there, which is not very far, again, you can't tell from this angle, but once you see people jumping in that area, it's very dangerous to go and even explore the spring. So again, that's why I lower my rating on the accessibility to the spring. Now, it doesn't mean that having fun like jumping off the platforms, you won't find that at any of the springs we've been to so far. You won't find that really at Fanning, Alexander, Silver Glen, or the other springs that we've been to. So here's the beach area. A lot of kids were playing here earlier. It's zero depth entry, big wide space. And then, as I said before, here's some kids jumping off of this platform. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give you my rating on this place. So overall, I'm going to give this place a 3. I was going to give it less than that, but a 3 would be sufficient. If everything was running appropriately, like the riverboat, that would have jumped the rating up. But again, the lack of accessibility to the actual spring itself, not being able to, let's say, snorkel down there. Saw a couple try to do it, but again, they got to watch out for the swimmers that are right behind, the jumpers right behind them. That makes it dangerous. In terms of wildlife, there's many fishes, minnows, but there's nothing that's really outstanding like the big fish that you've seen, like mullet or striped bass. As my daughter is going underwater, she hasn't really found anything substantial in terms of big fish. So there's really nothing in and around this area in order to really look at. But the biggest highlight right there is that jumping platform. That's really, really, really cool. So in one of the videos I'm going to show you, I saw this young lady from out of state. She did a back dive off of the smaller one right here. And then I asked her if she was a diver, and she said yes. So I asked her if she can do a dive off of this one. So you'll see the video on how she did off of that 13.5-foot tall platform there. All right, Blab Dads. So if you like what you see in this video, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, as well as hit the notification button on that bell. Ding! All right, so the next stop we're going to go is right over to the lodge.